Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The VCT kickoff playoff semi-finals are just about to get underway in the various regions. EMEA today at the Americas in a couple of days' time. Sentinels versus NRG though, the big series everyone is trying to predict. But actually Kaplan of Sentinels gives his comments after the fact of all the series Sen have played over the last couple of weeks, saying that actually he's really happy with the progress they've made and thinks they're in a much better spot to play much better VALORANT than they did in their first game up against Loud. If this turns out to be true, could NRG be in some trouble? Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to dive into today. Firstly, to be fair, this was expected, but Zeta, who announced his retirement a little while ago, has been removed from T1. We saw lots of database updates yesterday happening over at Zeta Division. They are seemingly making some severe changes over there as well. Just to mention as well, what you might think about Sen compared to what happened to Gen.G, but also the format in general. So Hunty's actually put this together, I thought was kind of interesting actually. So the play-ins, right? The way the play-ins worked, it was a single round-robin kind of thing where you played 2 matches between the other 2 teams, and then whoever did the best out of those matches then qualified. So, of course, in the Korean region or in the Pacific region, we saw Gen.G. They took down Team Secret 2-1. They then had a break, and then they played Zeta and took them down 2-0. Now, of course, Gen.G went on to win the entire Pacific very impressively indeed. So what was causing some controversy really was the way this was structured, because clearly playing 2 best-of-3s right back-to-back after each other is quite challenging and mentally taxing, as we saw many players say. I think even John QT said that Sentinels were, their vision was blurry, they were so tired playing all of those matches in one day, which is totally understandable, especially when you play back-to-back. So the point that is being made here is that the winners of every single play-in was the team that had a break between their first and second match. So if we look in the Chinese region here, the team that ended up winning the play-in and getting to the playoffs was Trace Esports. They played first, had a break, and then played last. We saw the same thing with Gen.G. They played first, got the break, and played last. The same thing with Carmine Corp. They played first, had the break, and then played last. And then the same thing with Sentinels. So they beat MIBR, and then G2 and MIBR both had to play back-to-back series here. So MIBR played 2 in a row, G2 played 2 in a row, and Sentinels had the break. So this has raised questions on the format, right? That the guys that qualifies, you gotta think that this isn't just coincidence. There's probably something more to it than that. That having the break between the matches and able to watch those guys play did provide advantage to the team that eventually qualified through for the playoffs. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think there's probably some truth to the fact that this format just isn't great, because that's basically luck of the draw, right? It's like, okay, do you get the break in the middle? Sure, great. You get a nice little advantage there for no real decision of your own. So the kickoffs begin, or the playoffs for the kickoff begin very shortly indeed. The Americas coming up in a couple of days' time. Today is EMEA, so 29th of February, of course. We'll have a look at those matches right about now. So here they are. These are the big ones. Heretics Na'Vi is, on paper, the harder one to call. I think Na'Vi should be the favourites here for sure, and I'm sure that the odds kind of imply that, but Heretics actually looked really good so far, and look, I'd probably lean Na'Vi's way, but I don't know, the Boo brothers have been playing incredibly well. Benji Fishy, obviously known for his Fortnite stuff, but I think he's got a bright future ahead of him as well, and I think Na'Vi can definitely lose this series. Fnatic, I'm less convinced they can lose, but well, they always can, but KC again have looked pretty good, but I think KC have looked slightly more shaky maybe than Heretics have, so I think Fnatic should qualify. Again, I said it yesterday, I'll say it again, but I think this play-in, or this playoff, sorry, bloody hell, all the terminology gets kind of confusing sometimes, should either be double elimination, best of 3, which is possible, or single in best of 5. Like, typically, all qualification games for internationals, which is what these are, have been best of 5. But no, these are best of 3, so, like, if Fnatic lose to KC, then fine, I guess they didn't deserve to go to Masters Madrid. But I think it would be better to make these best of 5s so that you maximize the chances that the best team actually ends up qualifying, because I think a best of 3, like, okay, best of 3 is still better than best of 1, but it's not as good in terms of guaranteeing as much as you possibly can the better team wins than doing what they could be doing right about here. Now, I also wanted to mention this because this has been in my, things to talk about for some time, but there's been so much happening, I didn't get around to it, but this kind of blew up actually, several days ago, about a week or so ago now, when this player, SK Rave, is talking about getting offered, basically money to throw a match. And we know that match fixing is a thing everywhere in all sorts of sports and esports, but it's interesting to see that this is arriving now to the Valorant scene as well. So he goes on to say the following: as you know, on February 13th, my dream came true. I got to sign for Skulls Esports. On 2 days later, he was offered via a Telegram call. He was told by NRG, who's one of the top guys over there at the organization, that he had connections in China and had been offered to earn $2,000 by deliberately losing our first game. So he then says, what do you mean? Refused that offer for sure, reported the incident, spoke to his teammates who said, wow, this is like outrageous, we're also gonna kind of go against this or whatever. And if such circumstances ever came to light and Riot Games accused the team of fake matches, I risk being cancelled together. So of course, as a player with integrity, he's going to say no, but he's going to say, like, look, this guy just offered, part of our organization just offered me to throw the game, and I've said to the teammates. So instead, what the organization did is that they kicked Troublemaker, who was apparently the player that was really against keeping NRG in, and then benched your man in question who's writing this whole piece. So it seems like this organization is corrupt from top to bottom, but look, we know that especially in the Chinese side, Chinese CS has been notorious for its match-fixing scandals over the years. Basically, people will bet big tons of money on teams losing, and then they'll pay that team a bit of money to deliberately lose, and therefore everybody wins, right? Apart from those that actually want a fair and equitable environment. So, players with integrity will turn this type of stuff down, but maybe the organization, that's the way they're making money. I don't know, and therefore the player that speaks up about this just basically gets benched from the team. So I think that he definitely did the right thing on this. This is just a conversation as well that they apparently had, and, well, since this happened, there hasn't really been that much, further discussion. I kind of thought that over the past few days we'd have some more follow-up or reaction, or, Riot Games would say, okay, yeah, we're investigating this issue, because this blew up, right? I mean, over 1 million views here on Twitter, 10,000 likes, and, lots of reaction to it. So I'm hoping that we get some sort of follow up to that at some point or another. We've got to talk though about this SEN NRG series. It's the big one, right? As I say, I wish it was a best of 5. I think that would be a bagger, but best of 3 is okay. Sentinels will play lots of rounds though, and this is what we saw with Gen.G. Yes, maybe Gen.G got somewhat lucky. They went to the play-ins. They played first and last. They got the break in the middle game, which seemed to help them. But to be fair, once Gen.G qualified through the play-ins, they then frankly dominated the rest of the tournament. Took down DRX, took down PaperX to win the entire thing. And Gen.G had played so many matches leading up to that point of the tournament. The DRX and PaperX hadn't, because they'd been more comfortable in the groups that they went through. So this is one of the factors that Kaplan talks about. Another great interview here by Pedro Mera. Of course, all the links in the description box below, as always. But Kaplan discussing here, I'll just share a brief moment where he talks about the state of the team, the fact that he really enjoys coaching these guys, but also the mentality they have and how much they've improved. His main point is, against Loud, they played nowhere near the level they are now capable of.
Yeah, I mean, I have so much more fun coaching this team than any team I've ever coached, and it's so much more rewarding. And a big part of that is because the team really don't take for granted the importance of the atmosphere, the culture, the energy, the storyline, the narrative we have in our mind, our kind of pillars, our sort of themes for a day or for a week. And while in it would have been sweet to have an easier group and be in playoffs right now, this might be copium. I'm actually glad we had a really hard group, because every series we had a real learning point. We sounded really nervous and shaky and inconfident against Loud, and we did some things to try to shatter that, going into 100 Thieves. And yeah, we really made the best of teachable moments. I tried to give teachable moments, build a narrative that we can control, and teach the guys it's our atmosphere. It's everyone on the team's team, and we can all make this team play however we want, right? And we can be confident, we can be relaxed. And I just saw the guys really just buy into that and do such an incredible job, just exceed all my expectations in all working together to control how we are. And that's a really important skill set for a long season. And just to be frank, the way the VCT season is designed, there's a lot of weight toward the league splits and the end of the year, and there's not a lot of weight here. You get 3, points toward champs for winning the whole kickoff, and you get 3 for winning the whole Masters, and that's it. So I'm glad that we have had a lot of learning experiences and grown a lot in just 2 weeks. And had we been in a different group or, had different wins, that might not have been true, and that might come back to bite us later. So
why do you see Heretics having a chance against Navi? I think form is a big thing that people don't take into account. Like, form is a huge thing, and being an underdog is sometimes an advantage. Nobody expects you to win. Nobody expects you to even get a map. And that in itself takes away pressure from the game. SEN should win that way. Dude. Okay. I think long term, by the end of this year, NRG will go down as the best team in North America, if not the world. That's what I think. Right now, they might not be at that level yet, like NRG, but I think long term, as in by the end of, say, next second split, so after Shanghai, they will go down as the best team in NA. But I don't know how long it's going to take them to get to that point, which is why I don't know if they'll be able to win against SEN for sure. But I know for a fact this team will make it as the best in NA eventually.
Guess who's back?
I just don't know if it'll be slow or fast.
Game time.
Do you think they're better than Optic was? I think they have more variety. I think they will be better than how Optic was. Not maybe in terms of results, but in terms of what they're capable of doing. How much variety they have and how much flexibility they have.
So I think it goes both ways, right? Because Sentinels have played lots of Valorant and lots of matches over the last couple of weeks, NRG have plenty to look at, right? They have loads of VOD to review, loads of ideas that they can try and counter-strat, right? And I'm sure that the massive analyst coaching staff at NRG that Chet has access to are doing exactly that. But that is, sure, one positive part for NRG. But for Sentinels, I think you've got to be very much confident that you're in a really great position because you've done so much learning. Playing so many matches on the main stage, getting all that LAN experience with the new team, understanding what it's like to deal with the pressure with the new team in those type of scenarios, and just learning more as they play as well. Like there's, practice is one thing, but you're never going to learn and improve as quickly as when you actually are playing many matches on LAN. And some teams, like 100T, they played 2 games, and now they're out of here for another month and a bit. So the chance that, the fact that Sentinels have lots to play, and NRG have only played 4 maps so far. They've only, they've 2-0'd both the series they've played. Sentinels have played so many rounds over this season already so far. So that's the point that Kaplan says that against, every series they played, they've had loads of teachable moments, things that they need to learn and understand. Okay, in this situation, we should do this. When we're down by this amount, this is the mentality we need to adopt to come back in the map. Those are things that they now understand and know, and NRG maybe don't have the experience as their new team themselves, let's not forget, to understand the same things. So, I think it goes both ways. There's pros and cons to what Kaplan's talking about, but I think mainly it should be a positive for Sentinel. FNS, of course, also giving his thoughts on the series and the fact that he does expect NRG, of course, guys that he knows very well, to be the best in the Americas at some point, but his feeling is that at the moment, that might not necessarily be the case for the reasons that we've seen Kaplan discuss. Just a couple of scrim bucks as well here, just to notice. Okay, maybe you don't read into this too much. I think fair play to 100T that they are scrimming everyone they can under the sun. C9, 100T versus NRG, Turtle Troop, M80, Winthrop University. 100T are scrimming them all, so I think that's kind of cool stuff, to be fair. But look, M80 are believed to be a pretty, absolutely dominant force in scrims. And it's interesting at least to note that NRG mixing it up with them, but actually 100T 14-5ing M80 is probably one of the more impressive scrim results that you are going to see of the day. So very much intrigued your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.